Hey everybody, and welcome to week 2. I hope week 1 was a success for you, and I just wanted to start this week by, since we're going to be building our first little model, and it'll be a relatively simple model to start. We're going to get into much more complicated models as the weeks go. But to start, I wanted to just quickly look at what I consider to be not the best model in the world, and I want to go over why. And hopefully this will highlight the importance of grouping to you. But before we do that, I'm going to introduce you to two very, very simple, very easy, quick little shortcuts. We're not even going to start with the actual shortcut dialog box. We're going to do that next week. Next week I'll give you shortcuts for just about every single tool we're going to use. These are two shortcuts that have to do with navigation. So we're going to look at zooming using just our mouse and orbiting using just our mouse. We're still going to go over here for our pan. So if I want to pan, I'm still going to go over and click the hand. Next week I'll give you the shortcut for that I use. But I want to show you that if you use, this is why it's so important to get a 3-button mouse. If you use your 3-button mouse and you go with the little roller ball in the middle of the two clicking buttons and you just roll in and out. It's pretty standard, and I think that this works pretty much the same in most programs. But this is almost entirely the way I use my zoom. So you can always go back to this if you want to do a little tighter zoom and be a little bit more refined. You can definitely still do the zoom extents. You can see that there's some garbage out here, which is another good example of why this is not a great model. I think that it's a lot easier to be able to just use your, you'll notice that I can still pan at the same time, and then I can use my roller ball to zoom in and out. The second shortcut that I'm going to show you is that same roller ball, but this time if you hold down on it, if you push down on the roller, and then keep your finger pushed down on it so that you're just basically moving your mouse and you've got your index finger holding down on that roller ball, you can orbit at the same time. So you're basically holding yourself into an orbit mode. So now I can pan, zoom, and orbit all using just my mouse. I'm still going over to the pan tool to activate pan, but I can use my mouse basically a lot more effectively this way. So this is how I'll be proceeding through the rest of the class. So if you notice that I'm not going over here to click on zoom or click on orbit, it's because I'm using the mouse almost exclusively. Okay, so now that we've got that out of the way, I just want to quickly show you why I think this isn't such a great model. If I go to my select tool, and as you know, if you want to click on something and select the entire thing, you double click on it. So if I were to click on this space here, and I double click on it, you'll notice that it's, to begin with, it's not grouped. So if I triple click on this, you'll notice that I've selected the entire model. What this means now is that this whole model is all connected. All of these pieces are all one big giant unit. So I could group this now, but little good would it do me because I would now be stuck with one big shape. So the reason this is such a problem, if you look at it from any other angle and you try to just, let's just try to select one item and move it. Like let's say that we found out that in actuality this wall here is really two feet beyond. It's really, really difficult to select just that wall and to move it without grabbing a hold of everything else. So let me go ahead and escape that. So if I go to my, again, just to demonstrate that somewhere else, if I go to my select tool and I try to select any element in here, like let's just say I want to select this wall here, and then I go to my move tool and I try to move it, you'll notice that it's basically impossible to move. I also can't hide it, which we'll get into hiding as we go. But aside from this, I'm going to hit escape. Aside from this not being a particularly visually interesting model, it's a little flat and it's a little bit hard to read, and there's definitely some lines missing. You'll notice that the biggest problem is that I've got a model where everything is all connected, and I'm just kind of sitting on this one floor here that connects the entire model, making it really impossible to edit it once I'm done. So this is like the only time I can ever think of this being something you would want to do is if you knew 100% exactly what it's going to be and you're locked in and there's not going to be any editing or any moving or any designing of any kind, then I can see why you'd want to do something like this. But it's I've never come into that situation or encountered that, so I would definitely not recommend it. So I just wanted to show you that bad example quickly, we're not going to make models that look like that in this class, so you don't have to worry about that, but just kind of, pictures worth 1,000 words. So we're going to move on and get some new tools going here.